Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Triple N Media. I am Dr. Nik Nikam. In this presentation, we're going to look at the use of biometrics, that is the facial image, and comparing it with previously recorded pictures like those we see in our ID cards or on records to see if you're the right person at airports and in businesses. Let's look at what is the theory behind it, how it is used, and how it is beneficial, and what are the concerns that we need to be worried about when it comes to using facial recognition or biometrics, the measurements of various parts of the face to identify ourselves as the right person who is trying to do the transaction. So let us look deep into this topic, as the biometrics or the facial recognition is already being used in certain airports at this time, and in fact, as time goes on, more and more airports would be using this technology to speed up the process of clearing the passengers so that they can get to their terminals on time. The feature presentation is facial recognition. Is it ready for prime time at airports here in the United States and abroad? As a matter of fact, there are already 50 airports or more which are already using some form of facial recognition to speed up the process of passengers across the checkpoints. How does facial recognition work? Basically, you have an ID, a government issued ID, such as a driver's license or a passport, and that has a picture. And when you enter this special lane where it takes a picture of yours and looks at various biometric measurements as it is shown here, and as the AI is incorporated, it's going to be much more sophisticated, so that you can recognize the person with very, very good accuracy. And not only that, we can recognize the person with good accuracy, but it's going to compare that with the previous history of that particular traveler to see if there is any evidence of suspicious activity or fraud related to that particular person. So it, in safety manners, it plays a significant role, just not only recognizing the person at the gate, but tying that with their previous records. As the AI technology improves, the measurements that are going to be taken going to be much more accurate. They're going to be looking at the color of the eyes, the color of the iris, and also the facial angles, various aspects which are completely compiled by these supercomputers, which can scan the person and match and make sure the person they say what they are is the actual person. Now the question is, how accurate are these things, and what are the benefits of using facial recognition? As you can see, the technology improves. It can look at many different characteristics in a face, just besides looking at the straight line angles of the eyebrows and nose, lips, etc. In fact, there was an article reported in LinkedIn where they looked at 10 benefits of using facial recognition. Let's look at some of these benefits. First of all, it helps to identify suspicious behavior. If people are trying to deceive, this is where the facial recognition can be much more accurate. It is just like fingerprints. It is hard to imitate some person, and it can pinpoint known criminals. As I said, the facial recognition can match with millions of images that are already in the database to see if there has been any previous criminal activity or suspicious movement of these individuals. It also ensures safety in a crowded venues. If you look at airports like Chicago O'Hare or Heathrow or Atlanta, where millions of people go through these checkpoints, in the crowded places, it makes it exceedingly easy to have people just walk through these gates, and with the facial recognition, they will be cleared within a matter of few minutes, as opposed to standing in line for an hour and a half to go through a manual process. It also adds convenience and safety. It is safety for the passengers and also safety for the individual who uses the facial recognition. And of course, there are disadvantages which we're going to talk about. But if you're with a big family with small kids, you rather go through the convenience of getting through the gates as quickly as getting through the TSA as quickly as possible, because most airports you have to walk half a mile to a mile to get to the terminal gate. Then recognition of identity fraud. If people are using fraudulent ID cards, that can easily connect this with the person, because it not only looks at the picture, it looks at their biodata, the biometrics, it also looks at their entire history from the previous database information. See, AI and facial recognition is not only of interest to the airports, it is also being used in many businesses where it helps to find missing people. It protects businesses against theft, improves medical treatment, and strengthens security measures, makes shopping more efficient, reduces the number of touch points, and improves photo recognition. In fact, if you remember, Facebook used to tag people based on their facial recognition. And however, I think they had a backlash. As a result, they stopped tagging people. Like if I were to take a group picture, it would actually tag each person, or ask me to tag each person based on their facial recognition, but it does not do anymore. Maybe I have to change a setting. Maybe if somebody knows, you can let me know. Anyway, and these are some of the new terminals where you can simply walk through and it takes a picture and it matches with your government issued ID, and in a matter of seconds you will be through the security clearance. It has separate shorter lines, it is a shorter waiting period, and a quick walkthrough experience, which I think most business people would like to use, because if you have nothing to hide, there's nothing to worry about, trying to keep something individual. So not everything is good about facial recognition. Some of the dangers that have been put forward are that dangers individual and racial profiling. I mean, you may not recognize this picture, but in China, every individual, based on their facial recognition, is given an ID number, and in that way, more than 1 billion people are tracked on a regular basis. And that's what people are concerned about here also in this country. By facial recognition, you are going to have an ID of some sort, which is your own ID, and that is going to be able to help the officials and entities to track your movements from one place to another. And that may be a problem, because you don't want someone tracking you minute by minute. And there's also a question about racial profiling. There's another question which was brought up is this facial recognition applicable to all different ethnic groups and facial features? That's something that has to be worked out, because primarily it seems to be working for the white Caucasian group very well, and it is to be tested with other ethnic groups and see if it is a reality. And also, individuals are concerned about this homeland security and individual monitoring, and this may increase because of this facial recognition, because now everybody who travels or everybody who is in a business environment who goes through a facial recognition is, of course, are going to be in their database forever, and that may serve as a concern for increased surveillance and tracking of individuals. Okay. what are the dangers of facial recognition? You know, we are relying upon technical issues. We are relying on artificial intelligence. But how do we know they are 100% accurate? We don't have a proof. Then, lack of consent. See, not everybody wants to be identified. I mean, this is not China where everybody is identified by their facial recognition. So, without consent, I don't know if you can just simply take pictures of everybody and collect a database. And the next thing, which I already talked about, is the identity fraud. And we don't have a clear regulatory guidelines or rules as what are the things that we can do and cannot do, and of course unethical use, and finally hackers can always get access to these databases and can cause havoc. As I mentioned to you, more than 50 airports here in the United States are already using some kind of biometric or facial recognition, and it's just going to get more and more as other airports acquire these newer gadgets to process these. So what do you think? Are you ready for facial recognition to be used? Just like a TSA pass, you know, you get a faster clearance. Now with the facial recognition, you can even expedite that one because now the checking is going to be much less compared to a regular one where you have to go through a whole circus. Let me know your comments, and if you'd like to see any videos on any other current topics, let me know. We'll be more than happy to research and produce those videos. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next presentation. Thank you so much.